All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. We got a scripting stream planned for today. My internet is doing much better today, thank you. So let's get right into it. I got Krita up, so you guys know this is going to be fun and entertaining. For now, it's not just going to be staring at a bunch of lines of code. We're actually going to be in the planning stages. Hopefully there won't be too much code line staring. But I want to make a map about a lighthouse. I consulted with the rest of the scripting community, and doesn't seem like there's any competition. Don't think anybody's made a random map script that centers around a lighthouse. Makes sense, considering that well, you know, a lighthouse is a pretty static object, and you have to make sure that everything else that's going on is equally distributed around it, and the only equal way of distributing things right now is in a circle, and the circle generally is centered around the origin. So we don't need all of that. We're going to make a map about a lighthouse, and it can't just be any lighthouse. It has to be a Greek lighthouse. So I brainstormed. I did all kinds of research on lighthouses in ancient Greece, and I have an idea for the setup for this map already. And I was going through and looking at all of the geography around these lighthouses, and I was like, this is all really natural looking and jagged and unfair, basically. One side has more rock on it, one side has more ocean. So I didn't want to pick the name of a particular Greek lighthouse. The most famous example of which is Pharos, which is the great lighthouse at Alexandria. That's spelled P-H-A-R-O-S. That's the lighthouse at Alexandria. You guys may have seen that. Let me see if I can bring that up. It's pretty cool. The thing, though, is that Alexandria is technically in Egypt. It's not in ancient Greece, although a lot of those Mediterranean cultures, you know, there's a lot of overlap between them. Architectural styles is the word that I want. So kind of an artist's impression of it. But it does not survive to present day, but it was one of the wonders of the ancient world, a really big lighthouse too. But this was in northern Egypt. It was finally dismantled during the Middle Ages to build a fort, which sounds very Middle Ages-y. Sounds like something they would do during the Middle Ages. Dismantle a timeless artifact to build something for war. So anyway, these are just different sketches of what it would have looked like based on the accounts of historians and people that saw it during the Middle Ages. But it was damaged by a couple of earthquakes. It was a ruin. But this is the idea, the concept here. So this is the most famous example of a lighthouse done in the ancient Greek style, if you will. But I didn't want to pick this, number one, because it was in Egypt, and number two, because if you look at this point on Google Maps, you're looking at it and you're like, how can I make a balanced Age of Empires map around it? So instead I decided to use just the generic Greek word for lighthouse. And then it could represent any lighthouse, because there were many. The ancient Greeks built many lighthouses. You know, I don't like it when people like name a map something and then it looks absolutely nothing like it. The only thing that it has in common is like the theme. Let me see if I can give you an example. I guess a good example could be Socotra. Is Socotra really a perfectly circular island with the dragon and the baobab trees, and there's rocks all along the coast, and you can't build ships? Is that really what Socotra's all about? No, right? But somebody started from the concept of Socotra, I guess, and came up with this random map, and now we all know what it is. So I'm just going to give this a a generic name. It's not going to be named after any particular place, and we'll leave it up to people's imaginations which lighthouse it actually is within the ancient Greek domain. So it turns out you do the Google Translate here, and we want to translate from English into Greek. Lighthouse. Here we go. So it's going to give us ancient Greek characters. That's phi, alpha, rho, omega, and sigma. So if we transliterate that to Latin characters, it's actually PH. This single character here is PH, and then this alpha is A, so PHA, and then this rho is R, right here, and then omega is O, and then sigma is S. So we get PHAROS. Oh wait. Pharos is the name of the lighthouse at Alexandria, so you just can't win. Oh well. So we're going to call our map Pharos. The name is the most important part of the random map script. Remember that. So we kind of inadvertently ended up naming our map after the lighthouse at Alexandria, but technically this PHAROS is the Greek word for any lighthouse. So I don't know what the ancient Greeks called it at the time. This particular one, they probably called it Pharos of Alexandrius or something like, or Alexandrios or something like that. Who knows? The lighthouse of a specific place. But anyway, we're going to do a lighthouse, and it's going to be awesome. And it's going to be in an ancient Greek style. So, what do we want here for our map? Hey, Seabass is here. Welcome, Seabass. Let's pull my keyboard forward, my mouse forward, recline the monitor here so I can draw on it more easily. I'm thinking we can have a big ol'... So here's our mini map. Okay. So what do we want to do? Well, we obviously want to have a lighthouse somewhere. The question is where to put it. Let's decrease the size of this a little bit. Do we want our lighthouse to be like right here? Or do we want our lighthouse to be out here? I think it really depends on how much water is on this map, right? I'm thinking that the lighthouse could be on like a peninsula, if you will, of rock. And then that peninsula could be part of a bay. So imagine a rocky peninsula in a bay. And then imagine player town centers starting here and starting here. So what do you guys think about that? And then we'll have wood lines, something like this. And then maybe we'll have like really steep, which I think would be a lot of fun, actually. We'll have like a really steep cliffs or something like that here. And maybe you can go up there and you can gain access to bonus golds. And obviously bonus stone in this strip up here. So, big thing that we have to decide then, if this is going to be the concept of the map, is how much ocean are we going to put here? Let's see if I can get my filler tool. This is all ocean out here, right? So click on this, adjust that, and imagine that we have all of this as ocean, right? What do we do with this ocean exactly? Yeah. I need a thicker pen. Or I need to just kind of sketch waves out here. There we go. That's a lot more practical. Could be huntables up there too. It's kind of laggy for me. I may fall behind a little, but I'm here. Well, I'm not dropping any frames this time, so it's not me. My internet is actually decent right now, which is surprising. Oh yeah, we could put huntables up here on this ridge, though. So, what are we going to do with this ocean is the big question. How big is this ocean going to be? We could shift this entire shape here. This entire shape, we could put it, you know, we could put it down here. Be something like this. But the important thing is that this lighthouse is kind of at a lookout point for these two bays. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think about this. Should we have the lighthouse be further up across the edge of the map, or should it be kind of further downward and there's not very much ocean? Certainly be a lot more interesting if there were less ocean, I think. You know, visually, aesthetically, it wouldn't look as pretty if it were more ocean. However, there would be more variety, I think, to the game. Now, here's another possibility for Pharos, though, which I'm kind of thinking about. So this is like concept one is basically where do we draw the line between land and sea? So where do we draw that line between land and sea is a big question. There is another possibility, and that is, what if we did something like this? So we went back to five-ish or so points. What if we did this? Oops. Get a good box. There we go. So we have our lighthouse, and dial back the thickness of. We've got our rocky coast coming out, and the lighthouse is actually right here. Something like that. And then the players themselves are arranged on islands like this. What do you guys think about this? So we got blue, green, teal, gray, orange, and yellow. This is another possibility. This would play out a lot more like a water map, though. It would essentially be islands with, like, a random landmass in the left-hand side. But it is also possible. It's something to consider. And you know, maybe the lighthouse could do a better job of actually coming out closer toward the center of these, and it's actually maybe out here. And the player lands are all shipwrecked little islands around the lighthouse. And maybe, I don't know, maybe the players are arranged close enough together that there's like a little shallow bridge in between them. And then there's a bridge to the land. Oh boy, decisions. So do we like this better? This land map concept, I think, is a little bit safer. Or do we like this? I guess in theory we could even continue the landmass out here, but then it wouldn't, you know, like we have to be careful. It wouldn't really make any sense for the lighthouse to be on the least protruding part. Like if we had the main landmass come out here, why wouldn't they just build the lighthouse here, you know? Why is the lighthouse inside of the sheltered portion of the bay? That's something that we need to consider. But to have outlying rocks that the lighthouse could be on could be a lot of fun. Or maybe we give players a nomad start and we actually just make this like come out way more, so that essentially half of the map is taken up by land. So it's a tough balance here. Well, which one do you favor, Seabass? Seabass is here in chat. Do you favor the player islands, or do you favor the players being on the mainland? Like this. It'd be really nice to be able to pull this one off. It's certainly a lot more scenic. But I just don't know if it could be done. Not nomad, but it's tough to say. I'm on the edge from the first two. Not nomad, but it's tough to say. Alright. So we'll go with something like this then. As to how much we make land or water, I guess we'll just kind of have to tweak it and see where we can go. But this is the concept here. Okay. Alright, let's make it happen then. Put my pen away. We've got something to work off of. We'll have to just experiment with it and see what we can do. Okay. So we're going to come in here to editors, create scenario, and if we generate a blank tiny version of Theros, what happens? Should get nothing. Essentially nothing. We've got some terrains left over from Jupiter, which we copied, making this look really dark and choppy here. We're going to want, of course, lighter, more calm Mediterranean appearance. Although we could actually go for like a violent variant of this. Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff here. Let's undefine that. We'll undefine that because we don't have a space map anymore. No need for elevation generation either. Okay. Yeah. DLC what beach? I like that it is war times. Okay. Here we go. Alright, perfect. So we have a bunch of DLC wet beach now. I don't think we want to use that as our base terrain, though. So maybe we could. As long as we replaced most of it. So we want this peninsula to open up into the center here. So let's come to our GNU octave code. And it looks like we have some declarations for player lands. We'll comment that out for now. We don't need any of this. We'll comment this out for now. It may come up later. So we'll just say that MLA is equal to nothing for now. And MLA is just the manual land appendix that we give it at the end. And we got a bunch of circle generations. I guess we don't need that. Get rid of a lot of these. Okay. Start out with the parabola, like always. Give ourselves a curved shape. Okay, we're going to need this random statement thing. Command of J XY structure is equal to this. And we need to say that J is equal to 1 up here, because this has to accept a structure. This will accept those configurations. Player lands, manual land appendix, confix. Okay. So our terrain is going to be let's just call it DLC Water 5 for now. And elevation 0, centered at 0, 0. Angle we'll set to 0 for now. Function will be 0.005, let's say, or 0.01 times x dot squared. Brush thickness should be 1, and overall shape thickness should be 1, and then we will have it stretch from -50 to 50 for now. Okay. So if we run this, we should get a very basic parabola of water here. And that parabola is going to be the basis for our bay. All right. Scribe line 35. Pharos at line 73. Oh, we need to include that in cell, I believe. It's all got to be in cells. Yeah, there we go. Stripe angle. Oh, oops. Don't need that. That is an extra parameter. Okay. Vertical dimension mismatch. 77. Well, we could check to see how Jupiter did it real quick, since we accidentally deleted that part. Oh, we need RMS processor. We skipped a step. So we need to call this combined. Okay, there we go. PL, we commented out player lands. Okay, remove that. Okay, it looks like it's all set. Let's see where it ends up. Alright, there we go. We got our parabola, boys and girls. Now, offsetting this parabola by a certain x distance, we'll have to give that a try too, and we'll of course need to make 2 of them. So the first thing that we need to do is let's close down this duplicate version of GNU Octave. Okay. We need to make this sharper. That, and let's try offsetting it by, let's say, -10. Let's see what happens. See, we can we can shift it over. Because if we can't shift it over, we'll be in trouble. Not, well, like trouble, but we'll have to think of something different. Alright, I'd say that that was successful in shifting it. Let us try shifting it a little bit more, but we'll also make a duplicate. So we'll do like minus offset, and we'll say that the offset is equal to 10. And then we will have another one of these. And we'll have a positive offset. Okay. Now we run it. All right, nice. Look at that. Two offset parabolas. Let's see. We could actually mess around with those a bit. Ultimately, this is going to be our lighthouse point right here. This point right here. So, if we... It would be really nice to be able to adjust this slope. So, without adjusting both of them. You know, and also to sort of do it programmatically too. Maybe we want that to be a variable and part of the map. Like you don't know how far up or out the lighthouse is going to be. So we will close these. And we will do like num to string. We'll have that be slope. And then we'll have that number be multiplied by x squared. So we were at 0.05, so maybe make slope equal to 0.05 just to sort of recreate it, confirm that it's the same. And let's put this on the next line to make our lines a little bit easier. Okay. So copy this and use it to replace this. Okay. We're good to go. Got a minus and a plus offset here. And we could make this like dx and dy or something, because we may find that we want to modify the y offset too, so that we'll put that there. Okay. So let's make sure that the code compiles first. It should compile all right. Yeah, it did it successfully. This is the correct function here. Let's make the brush thickness 0 though. I think that will have it. Or maybe we make the total line thickness 0. I don't think we can go brush thickness 0. But this should make it so it only sketches one line. Yeah, perfect. So it's doing less work for now. And then when we hit generate, it should be slightly thinner. Perfect. Look at that. Okay. So let's make this a little bit steeper. Let's go like 0.08. See what happens. This is always the most fun part, you know, because we could literally just pull levers all day and see how the cool stuff happens. Okay. Hey, Ja, welcome. Now I think we need to push that offset apart a bit. So maybe like we'll call this dx instead. And that's the first step, is to get these two to agree with each other nicely. And we'll say that that's equal to 20. Let's see what happens. You came to the right stream, Ja. Okay. Nice. See how we can have a big impact? We can even make it a little bit steeper if we wanted our lighthouse to come out further. Or we could adjust the offset. T-Bomber was also just streaming Viper versus Belize. Sounds boring. This is the place to be. Alright, we actually don't want wet beach, though. This is Greece. Guys, this is Greece. We don't want wet beach. We want regular beach. Beach. There we go, much better. Classic white beach. But we don't want too much of it, because then objects will fail to spawn properly. So I don't want to elevate the beach. So I think I'm going to make the base terrain just grass. For now. Where do we go? Here we are. And the lands that I'll be putting down will be beach. And so let's define that. Beach, which is probably some very small number. Yeah, number 2. They played 70 minutes arena bombard cannon war with Bohemians versus Turks. That actually sounds pretty fun. Okay, it's going to automatically put this beach here, which is not really what I want. Base terrain will be grass, but we're going to change this DLC Water 5 to beach. Like that. And then also in the terrain section of the script, so we'll just get rid of this. We don't want this. We'll just get this for now. Just something fast and dirty. We're going to create terrain, DLC Water 5 for now. Base terrain will be beach. 9% 100. Number of clumps 9320. Okay. We don't need that. But we do need spacing to other terrain types. Oh, right. We need to regenerate our lands. Okay. Ah, yes. There is one more thing that we need to do. we need to, well, number one, we need to, yeah, we need to decrease size of that a little. Actually, we could work on offset x now, or dy. So we're going to say that dy is equal to, let's say 10. We'll test that. So dy and dy. So offset it by y a certain amount. Let's run it. I'll be right back. Run to the restroom real quick. Okay. Let's see how that does. And it should move it in the correct direction. Nope, moved it in the wrong direction. Oops. Alright, well, we will know that we need minus. Okay, and then for manual land appendix, let's copy a lot of this stuff, actually. Terrain type is going to be beach. Land percent will be 100. Try to fill the whole thing. No min placement distance. But we actually are going to do number of clumps. Actually, no, we don't need that. We don't need that. But we do need land position. And we need it at those two corners, which are 0, 100 and 100, 100. Okay. Need number of clumps. And we don't need a base size. It will pick a default base size. I don't think we need a base elevation either. So we have a manual land appendix now, and it'll tack these two lands at the end. They'll try to grow to be infinitely large and ultimately fail. But they will fill that space in with water for us. So that makes it so that we don't need to paint millions of little tiny lands, not millions, but lots of little tiny lands in this space here. We can just fill the whole thing. It's all set. Still failed. What's going on? check the script to see if our manual land appendix made it. Not really. Strangely, just has create land there. What's going on with that? Oh, I know. We need these. Okay. Take two. All right. Bam. There we go. Ultimately, I don't know if we want our base terrain to be grass, but this is a better start. It's more responsible to have as little of this beach terrain as possible. I would like to open these parabolas up. If I do that, though, this peak will get smaller. So to compensate for that, I will have to move the parabolas a little bit further apart. So I could try that. So maybe dx 30, slope of 0.07. And we definitely want we want as simple as possible as a map generation when you're just starting out, so you don't waste 30 minutes waiting for it to do something that you don't ultimately want. It's only after you get it where you need it that you can start experimenting. Okay, so here we go. This is looking much better, I would say. Yeah, I like that. We could even make this like choppy and fuzzy too if we wanted. We'll have to be careful though. We don't want these lands to spill over into the rest of this. So for instance, if we did RMS processor, I think it's random coordinates. Let me check the folder here. Absolute value of sine x. Yeah, we could actually do that. We might struggle to. The thing about that, though, is that we're not. I guess if it doesn't matter if we cut it off in certain places, kind of like this. Hold on one sec. We're going to do. Here it is. So this is the correct folder. And we want RMS processor random coordinates. Random chord. And the inputs for this is tolerance. So we'll have like 1 to give it some choppiness. Because what this will do is this will basically replace every single land position statement with an RND of, let's say, 1, some value plus or minus 1. So it just makes it choppy. But then we have to be careful. But it looks a little bit more organic now. I like it. It's more like a real coastline. Like if we did, let's try doing 2. 2 would make it even choppier. Oops. Got to rerun it real quick if we're going to do 2. I guess these lands at 1 are all large enough that we never have a problem. But as you can see, 2 has even more character to it. Now, we can actually cheat a little bit, too. We don't have to use the parabola all of the time. For instance, we could have a line that comes out. So let's stash this for now, so that we know what we're dealing with. We could give ourselves just a line that comes through the middle. Seabass likes 2 so far. Alright, it's good to know. 2 isn't too choppy for you. Alright, well, so copy this here. So this one we would center at 0, 0. And this would not be beach, but this would be grass instead. So we'll just call it G for now. And it wouldn't be x squared, it would just be x. It would actually be 0 times x. We don't need to play around with this. Alright. And this is the magic right here. So I think we want to rotate it 90 degrees, and then maybe extend it. Well, we'll extend it -50 to +50 to at least just check to make sure it's the right orientation. Okay, yep, did something for us. So extend it out this way, and we could even give it a different terrain too if we wanted to make sure that it was really at work here. Make it a little bit easier to see. So maybe we give it like DLC black. There we go. And let's try going from, let's see if it's +50 or -50 that it's after. So go from 0 to 50 first, and then we'll try to narrow that range down a bit, minimize the overlap with the parabolas. Okay. So it looks like we're going from 50, we could probably get away with like even 40, I would say. Let's give it a try. I'm also wondering, no, probably not, because we're going to be elevating this. I was just thinking it was possible to do away with the randomization of the lands and do the randomizing in the terrains, but I don't think so. So we'll go from 40 to 50 instead of 0 to 50, just to reduce the resource cost of the map. Well, what do you guys think? I think it's a little too little, actually. I think it needs to be 30. Also, it looks like these have priority over this, which I don't necessarily think is the right thing to do. Maybe not. Now, let's think about elevations too at this point. We're setting it up so that we're putting down beach terrain at elevation 0, which is good, and our base terrain should not be beach, it should be grass. So that means that if we elevate something, the terrain that will appear on the elevation in the case of a large amount of stretching is grass. So we want this to appear at elevation 7. We'll change the spec to grass. And we will also, in the elevation section, actually, you know what, let's get this right from the start. Let's pick the right terrain and be done with it. So we don't want beach. We don't want road. We want some kind of like rocky, gravelly terrain. You could say DLC rock for now. We can make the base terrain. Yeah, I like that. I like making the base terrain DLC rock. There's going to be a lot of stretching in different lands at different elevations. So I think DLC rock is the right way to go. And DLC rock is what will appear on those extreme elevation changes, which is what we want ultimately. So where is DLC rock? Let's find it. There we go. It's number 40. So we will call this RK, or K for rock. And we'll put it in down here. DLC rock. And we will define it up here. K is 40. Okay. Let's give it a try. See what happens. See if it totally messes things up. I don't think it will. Okay, it did. So it looks like the presence of these lands in close proximity to this one pulled up the sea, pulled up these other lands here. Well, I don't want to go back to... I don't want to go back to elevation 0 because I don't... We could do that. Let me show you what I mean. We set this to 0, and then we run it, and then we try to elevate it later. What will happen is there will be a gradual increase toward the mainland. Okay. So that's good. Be a gradual increase toward the mainland. So let's uncomment this now. Create elevation 7. We want it on rock. It's okay if we have like DLC rock written in a few commands here, but whenever I program the autoscriber to scribe like rock somewhere, because it could potentially be appearing hundreds of times, I want to try to shorten that name as much as possible. So this is what it looks like if we elevate it to elevation 7 here. It does not elevate this section here properly. This is on a tiny map size. It'll look a little bit different on giant, but it's the same basic principle. So giant just is a little bit cleaner based on how this is scaling with all the different base sizes of the lands, scale against the precision of the positioning. So we want this big bluff to be overlooking the rest. So, you know, maybe what we do is instead of making this beach terrain, we actually make this rock terrain, just like the rest of this here. And then we let the beach fill in whatever it wants to fill in. So in other words, what if we change these to K's, and we basically just use these to stop the overfill of all of this? What would happen in that case? It looks cool, says Ja. I'm glad that you feel that way. You think this looks good, though? It's going to look even better. Oh, shoot. Did I forget to set something to elevation 7? Yes, I did. Now, real quick. Thankfully, it only takes a couple seconds to run at this point. It's not a very demanding script yet. Okay, so this is a little bit better. The size of our bays has decreased slightly. We might need a little bit more of an offset, but this is the right track. We could move these parabolas outward a little bit. That could actually help, I think. And of course, we're going to be randomizing all of this too, so we need some margin. You liked the first version? Well, bear with me here. You can't rush art. So we've got these lands spilling over into this, which is not what we want. So it needs a little bit more space. Let us also elevate it to like 5. Let's say. Elevate it to 5, push these further apart. And we can definitely tweak these numbers. But our requirement is to have a big, imposing lighthouse at the end of it. Oh, this will have to be dialed back, actually. Maybe like 25. Because we want ships to be able to navigate between the two bays. We want them to be able to go around the corner of the lighthouse. Okay, so we pushed it further apart. Let's see if we can, so we can see our area of high elevation here. See if we can broaden these parabolas a bit, because we definitely need to move this back. This is also, I think, too wide. So maybe we relax this to 6, and we increase this back to 30, and it goes from like 30 to 35. So we make sure that we get this right. This is going to be the defining feature of the map. And then once we get it right, we'll program, variety into it, so it looks like a random map script. Okay, we're moving in the right direction. Got a little bit of elevation here, but The other thing that we could do too is I think if we change the priority of this, let's see, we put this one first, I think that the others would cannibalize it. Not cannibalize, it's not the right word, but they would, it would yield to them instead of them yielding to it. That's the word I want. Because this RMS processor decides what gets priority based on this order up here. Huh. It's almost exactly the same. Alright, we'll push it back a little. $25 and $30. We'll even decrease that slope a little bit more. Yeah, we can see that this is kind of the point where these intersect. Let's add ourselves a nice section of beach that cuts across here. Kind of cut these off. So maybe in addition to these, we'll have this. And we'll put beach down at this point. And this beach will be at elevation 0. It'll be at angle 0. But the y offset will be something like 45. And it'll go from minus 20 to plus 20, let's say. And the thickness will be 1. Alright. I guess we'll just close that there. Okay. If this isn't in the right spot, we can always move it. It doesn't look like it. It looks like it's yielding, so we'll put it up here. Okay, that's better. Maybe not quite thick enough, but you guys get the idea. 45 isn't the right amount. Maybe 47 would be better. And then increase this thickness to 2. Okay. Could actually increase the thickness of that further. Let's go from like minus 10 to plus 10, and we'll have a thickness of 10, and we'll offset it at 45 exactly in the center here. Guys, don't worry about this. We can get rid of funky stuff like this. If we can't do it in lands, we can do it in terrains. As long as we're smart about how everything was set up, which we will be. And whenever you want to go live, Seabass, just let me know and we'll raid you. Alright. Looks good. Looks pretty good, I would say. Maybe this could be moved out a little bit. Move it out to like, push it out 3, so 28 to 33. Okay, no problem. Push it out a little bit more. You can tell that it's interfering with the beach, so we can fix that. But first, we need to push this out a little bit further. So maybe like 30 to 35. We could even do like 32 to 36. Let's give that a try. One sec. Alright, sorry about that. We are all reset. Let's see how we push this hill. I think that's about right. We just need to adjust the thickness, and we need to adjust this other shape down here. Try to limit that overlap as much as possible. Okay. Where am I? Ah, yes. Okay. So we're going to decrease this from -10 to like -5. Actually, no, that's the wrong thing. We need to change this thickness to, say, 5. Maybe 4. It's an even number. And we should see the beach get pulled back. It does. It's a little choppy, unfortunately. We could probably increase the brush thickness to mitigate that. And we can recenter it maybe at 46. You don't like to have too large of a brush thickness, though. Otherwise, it lags. It's better. Um, let's try increasing the slope slightly. 6 to see if we can push this water away from here now. Probably our most pressing concern. Didn't really have the effect that we were looking for, huh? Well, let's go back to 0.05. Now, I'll tell you what, we'll do something a little bit different. We will control a height limits here. I don't know why it likes to create this island here, though. That sort of is bothering me. We could increase the brush thickness a little bit more to 4, so it does a single sweep in there, and maybe minus 2 to plus 2, so it should just be that square of 4. And instead of placing B terrain, let's place like an intermediate type terrain. We could even place DLC rock, honestly. Actually, no, DLC rock would be bad. Let's place that non-navigable beach. So we'll call it B, but we'll replace it with something else in the constants list. So some beach non-navigable. Okay, it's 79. So 79. Okay. And let's run this. What's going on? It should not be putting down this water. Oh, actually, it should be. But this beach should not be... where is it? We want a canoe. Yeah, this beach is not navigable. So as long as we're smart, we should be able to prevent this from happening. So now, we are going to create... We're going to get rid of this, so I can demonstrate what I mean. Save that. So when we generate, we'll have non-navigable beach largely down here. Different size. Okay. So this is all non-navigable beach. We can use terrain effects to convert the stuff that's flat into actual navigable beach, which we'll call NB. And that's going to be, what was it, 2 or something like that? Yeah. So up here, NB, navigable beach, is going to be 2. And we will here. So we'll create terrain, navigable beach from beach, set spacing to other terrain types 1, and we're going to do set flat terrain only, I believe, is the command. And then we can copy this, and then we can layer it over into DLC Water 5. So we'll create terrain DLC Water 5 from this navigable beach. And we do not need to do set flat terrain because we know that the navigable beach is already on flat terrain. Alright, bam. There we go. Now, is it always that fork shape? That's kind of unfortunate. That we're going to have to do stuff with lands. I'm not really sure why it's misbehaving so much, honestly. And maybe we're better off with the thickness of 2. And maybe we should go back like -8 to 8. So we'll tinker with the lands a bit to get that to work. I guess I'll keep moving it up. Offset it by 48. We'll give it a thickness of 6 in this case. Okay, that looks better. Perfect. And we could even probably put in the random coordinates now. Let's see how that looks. See if that messes things up too much. No, not really. The terrain layering does a good job of, protecting this area, making sure that it's properly elevated. Oh, is this now non-navigable though? Let's test it. We might have to dial the peninsula for the lighthouse back a little bit. Okay. No, you can sail through there, but just barely. Look at that, just barely. Oof. You could certainly wall that off, which is fun. But it's fun, and it's far away from both of the players, so it's not like it's a huge advantage to one person. It's fine, like a Palisade Wall. Here we go. Yep, you could build a wall right there and prevent ships from sailing between the two, which would be really funny, actually. And we could clean all of this up with terrain effects, so don't worry about that. Just kind of wondering if this parabola is the best thing for this. I think it is. Ah! Oh no! Oh no! Look at that, you guys. We got water on both sides. So apparently somewhere in between the land, it spilled through because of that randomness, which is kind of funny. Let's go to tiny size and keep the seed. It doesn't happen on tiny size. But we did see it happen on small size. We should make sure it doesn't happen on any size, frankly, though. So let's add a safety measure then for that. Let's regenerate it on small, same seed number. So this is a good opportunity for us to build like a safety mechanism in against something like this. I don't know where it's breaking through. It could be that it's doing it here. We'll be using tiny as it's a 1v1. Yeah, I know, but I only put out the best quality work. So let's increase the thickness of this parabola then, I suppose. To decrease the chances that it will have a gap. Okay. Now it'll mess this up a little bit, but we can tweak other things to fix that. Let's generate it again. Actually, it was not too bad. Okay, it's good to know. It's a little bit block here. Open the bay up slightly. Maybe decrease this to 0.045. Okay. I like that. There's a lot of beach terrain here, but it doesn't matter because in terrains we can cover it up, redo it. Our lighthouse is going to be up here at the top, so that'll be nice. And then we'll make sure that the players are placed in these locations out here. I would love to have like another ring out here, even higher elevation terrain. I very well might introduce that, actually. It's the same as the base terrain, but just bring it up in elevation. We'll see, though. The first things first, let's clean this up. So in terrain generation, we're going to define, what are we going to call it? Probably coastal layering or something, just to make this a little bit more compact. Okay, and then if coastal layering, do all these things. and then we will make these arguments a little bit more compact. But I really want this lighthouse to tower over the bay. It's important to me that it be the star of the show. Oops. Hey, I don't know how well you know the Juicy Crew sea bass, but I was talking to Juicy last night, and we're both interested in doing a show match against them. I don't know how interested you are in that. Could be fun. We could have some crazy maps. They're always down to try new things. Okay. So now let us take any remaining beach terrain and convert it into DLC rock. Okay, and we are going to use height limits 0 to 1. Or height limits 0 to 7, really. Should get rid of that. Here we go. We can even do space and other terrain types of 1 if we really wanted to. So we still have the... I mean, we got the beach here. You can sort of barely see it. And you can still build docks here. At least you should be able to. Yeah, you can still build the dock. So maybe we do that, space and other terrain types of 1, and we give a little bit of beach here. Spacing to other terrain types of 1. The reason I want to do that is because it's okay aesthetically, is one consideration. Like, it's fine with that. But the other thing, too, is imagine if we had some Gaia shorefish, like box turtles, let's say, here. And some player came, let's say, to this location, and they wanted to build their dock here, like this. If this were not beach terrain, then you wouldn't be able to take palisades and build a little box around your villager. So you could build a little box around your villager while he's collecting from, he or she are collecting from the box turtles, in this case. So you could still wall your villager in to protect him while fishing. So I don't want players to get a lucky vill pick, because that's not really what Good Age of Empires is about, right? It's not about sniping your opponent's villager and getting an advantage because of that, being one villager ahead the whole game. So now we can actually... We actually might want to change this to a different terrain type, I'm thinking about it, but we could do that later. Actually, you know what? Let's do it now. Let's change that to gravel at the very top. I'm just thinking because I want to put random hills for elevation in here. Well, let's get that set up first, I guess. Let's see how it looks. So when we get to elevation 5, I want to create terrain grass, base terrain DLC rock, height limits elevation 5. So we got grass growing on top of these hills. And I'll play with the terrains. Probably DLC dry grass will be better. It does not affect this here though, which is still a rocky bluff. So I'm kind of left with some options. How do we want to do the hills out here? Maybe I don't want to go too much smaller for these cliffs is the thing. You know, it could be really cool to have an elevation increase too. Like, this is actually, the closer you get to the center line, the higher the elevation is. Wouldn't it be totally awesome, for example, if this were lower elevation and up here as you started to walk up this way, like it was like walking up a hill to the lighthouse? That would be kind of cool. Uh-oh. It's not good. Happened twice now, so just have to go in and increase the thickness of it, I guess, offset the Y value. So let's definitely keep this seed. $12, and then we'll increase this thickness from 1 to 2. Should be done now. Yeah. It's better. It's a shame that we can't tell this grass to stay away from this area somehow. Unless we did spacing other terrain types, which we could do. See how it looks on Giant. The other end of the spectrum. Oh boy. Happens on Giant for this seed as well. We might have to set up a little protective barrier for ourselves that isn't randomized. It's probably the right thing to do. So I'll tell you what. Let's come back and we'll set this equal to 0 again. And as a higher priority, oh shoot, it's not going to quite work that way, is it? No, we just, the most straightforward way is to just increase this. Okay. Still not good enough. So increase it to 6. No. All right. Then we'll do it the hard way. We will do combined rand. Set it up as another variable. And we'll just do combined. And we'll break these up into different things. So we're going to have overlook, and that's going to be equal to this. Then we're going to have connector, and that's going to be equal to this. And then we're going to have maybe boundary, and that's going to be equal to these two. And then the combined random is going to equal to overlook, connector, and boundary. Okay, so we'll just make sure that we're in the same place here. These orders and such are correct. So these are the ones that are going to get randomized, and then this other one is going to be non-randomized. But let's make sure that we can recreate. Okay, that's basically what it was, except it's a little bit thinner. And there is some stuff over here. We actually don't want this to be randomized, I don't think. So we're going to start differentiating into the random, non-random. So combined and then combined rand. So combined is just going to consist of whatever we don't want to be random, basically. So the overlook could be randomized slightly, but this connector we don't want. And we're actually going to copy boundary over here too. So we'll copy this, paste it here. And we're going to remove connector from here because we don't need it. And we're basically going to do this twice now. So we'll have combined rand, but then we'll also have regular combined. And I don't remember what the order is. You have to put it in. It may not matter. But these could actually result in duplicate lands at duplicate locations. So we might end up using a different boundary here. We'll see. Maybe slightly different, like maybe the The non-random one is slightly inside, so it doesn't interfere with things. But let's run this for now and see what happens. So it'll essentially reprocess stuff twice. Okay. It's placed successfully. It's like there's a little bit of fuzz up here, though. Beach is choppy. It's desired. This isn't going to do anything. Okay. Do we want to randomize the overlook? And this is also starting to eat into our peninsula a little bit. I think that we need, well, if we use the same lands, we don't have to generate them twice in a row. But I'm not quite done here. We could put another stretch across, if you will. All right, let's take a look at Tiny again. See how that looks. Yeah, it seems like this isn't as pronounced. I think it's because there's another set of like parabolas in here. It's kind of messing with this, if you will. Maybe if we decrease the overall range of this, I just am not sure what side to decrease. What side affects what? Let's see. We'll decrease the positive side of this and the negative side of this one. And then if that doesn't work, then we'll have to change it. So let's try decreasing this to 40. We'll give it a swing. So the idea is that we're basically generating less of this DLC rock parabola around here. Seems complicated? Only because I make it that way, Seabass. Making a map like this, though, exactly like this, would probably be very difficult and complicated. That's probably why it hasn't been done before. Maybe John knows more about it, though. Alright, I'll be right back. Let me refill my water. Actually, let's hit generate because it's already done. I can't tell if that worked. It looks a little bit better. I should have kept the seed. Let's go a little bit further. Let's go to 30 now. Hit generate. I'll be right back, guys. Refill my water. It's like a desert in my throat. Okay. See if we went in the right direction. Let's keep this seed. It looks like we are going in the right direction. Let's go a little further. Yep. Looking better and better. It does look good. Let's take a look at giant size now. A little bit bigger of a mountain for this lighthouse to be placed on. It's got a larger base. So we got to think about what object we want to use. Don't worry about the fact that it's not buildable. We can definitely make it spawn on any type of terrain that we want. Constantine. Tree range. Maybe just have like a... I'm thinking probably just a keep. Fire tower could be fun though. Actually might be the most appropriate building to use. It's like a combination of like a fire tower and a house. House Imperial Age. Here we go. Something like that. So we've got... Ooh. Well, this looks more Arabic, but I do like the really tall building. I think there are some hero buildings too that we could use. We could fortified tower, the accursed tower, the Tower of Flies. We could use a neutral donjon is another example. It looks more like a fort though, less like a lighthouse. Sanchi Stupa, a pagan shrine. No, not the Tower of One. This isn't really a tower. I don't know. I guess it's kind of a tower. Yeah, I think Fire Tower is going to be the way to go. The architecture does not look Greek, though, and we can't set Gaia Civilization, which is unfortunate. At least not with effect amount. So that's something to consider. But this is happening pretty much exactly as I have envisioned it. We might want to convert some of this rock into beach first, though. Let's do that. Keep this seed. On the one hand, it is kind of fun to have the flat rock, but on the other hand, I don't think it really necessarily fits. So are we doing that? Base terrain B. Yes, actually, that is possible now, Seabass. It wasn't possible before, but it's possible now. We can make the lighthouse capturable. It's a new feature they're adding, so that you can make any building capturable. But also, yeah, leave it at that. I see. Well, this rock sort of has to be here then, huh, doesn't it? I guess we could mask the rock that's down here with other stuff, perhaps. I think the classic is green water. So let's come up here. Okay. Water green is 95. So we could do a couple of things. Oops, wrong way. So we could create, let's copy this actually. DLC rock, and no space in other terrain types now, just in the height limits of 0 to 0. Base terrain is going to be the beach, and then we'll do terrain mask 1. And so that should make it look like this beach here is sort of blended with the rock. Yeah, that's much better. So it gives it kind of a rocky beach feel to it. And then we could also, we might have to space this to other terrain types, but we can create terrain green water. Base terrain would be DLC rock, and the terrain mask would be 1 for this as well. Height limit 0, 0. And yeah, we would, that's a little powerful. Doesn't the lighthouse require upkeep over profits? Well, that is true. But we'll say that if you control the lighthouse, your shipping is safe, and the trickle of resources that you're getting are from the bonuses of having all of your ships arrive to port properly. The other thing that Zetness suggested in the random map scripting server was give the lighthouse a vision radius of 21 and make it capturable. So it's basically like a mega outpost. And you can see everything with it. Is another possibility. Yeah, it still affects this, unfortunately. It's supposed to be height limit 0, 0, but it's not. So that's kind of annoying. I was hoping to give ourselves a little bit of tidal pool, but I guess not. It'll be alright. The one map that was in the ladder seemed to be a good rate. Are you talking about Aftermath? Oh, what if we did set flat terrain only? And we did space and other terrain types in one, because we need to have that. The outpost makes sense. Well, I'm, flexible. We can do whatever. Some green water areas. It's not very much of it, but it doesn't really do much either. You don't have to have it. I'm surprised this is the whitest that beach gets, though. Should be able to make it whiter than this. So let us forget about that grass for now. Let's get quicksand, though, because quicksand is a pretty white terrain. To make these cliffs look a bit whiter. If anybody knows of a whiter terrain than quicksand, let me know. There we go. It's 46. Quicksand is actually equally unbuildable to DLC rock, so maybe we don't need the DLC rock here. Maybe we mask the rock over the quicksand is what I'm saying. Okay. So we'll add it down here. Create terrain, quicksand, base terrain, DLC rock. Height limits from 0 to 7, terrain mask 1. Maybe we'll do like 0 to 5, so we can see the difference more easily. It's pretty strong. Not quite as white as I wanted. It does indeed look sandier. They must have changed the aesthetic for it. It's unfortunate. This doesn't look too much better. Don't worry about this. We can always clear that up later. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys like the quicksand look on the cliffs? Or do you guys like it without the sand? The other option is we could try masking the beach over it again. Wondering if we could actually get smart with the amounts. Maybe we go like land percent 1 or something like that. You like the look? Okay. See if we can get a good balance though, like the proper amount. This is 10%. Let's do a little bit more. 20% is probably going to be too much. Patches are also quite large too, which I don't necessarily approve of. But we have 9320 number of clumps. I guess we need to set scale by groups. We need to do that in more places, actually. Dial it back a bit. Maybe like land percent 14, maybe. All right. Cliffs. We need to, or sorry, hills. We need hills. So let's create elevation 6s out here. Some small hills. We'll do like 60 tiles. Hold on a sec. Number of clumps 60. Number of tiles 60. So maybe we'll get some random hills to spawn out here. No. So it's too many. Here we go. But we're not converting. Oh, I see. So we got lots of little hills, but we're not really doing much with them. Don't really look like the kind of thing we can do anything with. Height limits of 5 to 6, perhaps. Increase that flexibility. We get more grass over here. Of course, now we got all of our little hills over here. You could micro archers across. We need to figure out how to keep it away from the lighthouse if we want, which we could always, I guess, increase the size of this, and it would be fine. Even on the giant size, if we did like spacing other terrain types of 2, this would largely be prevented. Maybe that's what we do. But first things first, let's actually just comment that out, because we don't want to go directly to grass. I think we want some kind of dirt or gravel. So we're going to have gravel be V. Oops, we're in the wrong. There we go. It's number 70. And basically wherever we have this, we're just going to copy it over, and we'll create terrain gravel, base terrain DLC rock, height limits. Oh, we'll do height limits 5 to 7 for now, I suppose. And spacing other terrain types of nothing. However, we are going to do terrain mask 2. This will effectively be converting it all to gravel. On the top anyway, 5 to 7. Here we go. So instead of having like sandy rock, now we have like rocky gravel at the top. And then we can convert it into grass after we space it a certain ways. Actually, I want to convert it into dirt more, really. I would prefer dirt first. So let's come back here, and then let us create terrain dirt, and our base terrain is going to be gravel. And I don't think we need height limits because we already specified them. And terrain mask is going to be 2, but we're going to have space into other terrain types of 1. So as you can see, we've got this this layer of rock / gravel here, and it's one all around the top of the cliff. And then we get into dirt here, and I don't necessarily know if I actually agree with this look. I don't think this is appropriate for Greece. But we do want dirt. We don't want the dirt to blend with the gravel specifically. So maybe we just don't do a terrain mask here. Maybe we just have no terrain mask at all. Regular old dirt. So as you can see, this is still blended, but now we're going to go back, and I think we're going to put the rock back on the dirt and see how it looks. Base terrain, dirt, and we'll do terrain mask 2. So we kind of got gravel rock and then dirt rock, something like that. Although we don't want to space it. We want it to be the whole thing, the whole deal. There we go. Now, what happens if we make it grass 2 instead? It gives it kind of a rocky, grassy, dirty look. Maybe dirt 2 would be a better fit. Oh, right. We need to blend the rock onto dirt 2. I don't know, maybe the gravel doesn't do too much for us here. I don't know what your thoughts are. Think about it a little bit more. It's an odd juxtaposition. Maybe it's fine. It's like a pretty well-defined line here. I don't like that. I don't like sharp lines. So let us get rid of this. We'll do base terrain of DLC rock. And we will do it in height limits 5 to 7. Space and other terrain types of nothing, I don't think. And we'll do terrain mask 2. Yeah, I think that looks better. So now we can go in and we can layer some proper dry grass on it. And dry grass, I think, is like 99 or something. It's getting up there. Numbers. No, it's 100. Oh no, we don't want dirt 2. We want dirt 3. Do R3. Dirt 3 is a little bit closer, but still not quite the same. Dirt 3 is constant number 3. And then dry grass is 100. Okay, so we'll come back down here. We will create terrain dirt 3 or R3. Actually, let's call it dirt 3, right? We don't need any special. Yeah, we don't need anything special for it, actually. Defining it up here is a waste of time. This extra line we don't need. We don't need the height limits, but we are going to need space in other terrain types. One, and this is going to be on dirt 2. So we can sort of see a transition here between rocky dirt 2. Is that masked? I can't tell if it's masked. Let's check. No, we never masked it. It could be fun to do though. Terrain mask 2. And we'll give it one more space, I think. I don't know how I feel about this really clear, distinct line, though. I know, I know. I might be the only one who can see it, but it still bothers me. Alright, I'll tell you guys what. Let's put the dry grass down first. Comment that. And our base terrain will be dirt 3. Spacing other terrain types will be, I don't know, 3 or something. Don't need height limits. Need a little bit more spacing. Maybe more like 6. Or even 8. Yeah, we can work with that for now. 6 might have been a better choice, but go back down to 6. We can actually kind of mask some rock into this. Point is, yeah, that's perfect. Now we'll mask some rock into this. So, dirt 3, maybe land percent 1 or something like that, 10. Let's mask some rock into this. I bet it's dirt 2, isn't it? That's why it's not doing anything. Oh no, it's the height limits. It's the problem. That is definitely not height 0, 0. It needs the dirt 2 as well. So let's see. We put that dry grass down. It's a space 6. So whatever comes before it is what that terrain is. It should be dirt 3. Alright, what happens if we go land percent 100? Doesn't even do it then. Alright. Let's comment that out. Move this up a little bit. So when this rock gets put down, it is right here. It's masking over under dirt 2. Alright, here it all is. You don't even need this, really, to get back to this state. Yeah, we don't need it. Build from here. So if we create another terrain that's Dirt 3, and we do it far away from this, say space and other terrain types 2, but let's do it more like 6 or something. So that is created here. Spider. Then we should be able to come back and just place like standard dirt on top of that. So no space in the other terrain types now. Oops. But maybe land percent is only 10%. What? Just failed to elevate it this time. It's bizarre. Alright, so 10% is too much. Let's do 1%. Okay, so 1% is not too much. Maybe like 4%. %4 is too much, but you get the idea. We're essentially just breaking it up. Okay. Let's look at 3 before making a final decision. I kind of like 3 better. Okay. The Dirt 3. kind of giving ourselves a broad window here to paint that transition into. And then ultimately, we're 100% Dirt 3 masked over Dirt 2 by the time we get 6 tiles in. So we'll probably do the same trick for the dry grass then. So we get here. We'll copy this. Copy it exactly. Same principle though. So we'll create terrain. It's really these two lines that we're emulating here. We'll create terrain dry grass from Dirt 3. The terrain mask is going to be 2. Space and other terrain type 6. And it's supposed to take up everything. And then the next line below it, we'll come back and create DLC dry grass with terrain mask 2 within land percent 3 and no space and other terrain types. That's the big thing. It essentially should have the same effect. Oh yeah, look at that. Gorgeous. It's beautiful. Beautiful, I say. And I think DLC dry grass is going to be kind of our go-to terrain. We might have patches of regular grass here, but this is, this is going to be it for us. I do kind of want to put a mountain back here, but be bad for the competitiveness of the map, I think. Maybe not. I don't know. Let's have a discussion about it. Should I put more elevation structures back here? Kind of try to make like more cliffs and mountains. The advantages it could make the map more interesting. The disadvantage is it would make it so that the map... Whoa. What's this? Some line across. Disadvantages are it would make it much harder to balance the map in a team game situation. Like with more than 2 players. What do you guys think? Well, you guys are thinking about that. I will go in and let's see if we can make this elevation a little bit better. Want lots of little clumps. I think I might hold this up to higher elevation. Not exactly sure. Could be quite Hey, BP is here. Slightly higher on the far side, maybe. Oh, alright. You've convinced me. We'll put a sine wave back here to increase the elevation. And we'll give thicker wood lines back here. I kind of would like to boost this a little bit. Let's take a look and see how much. We should have plenty of margin even on a tiny size. Okay. Our lighthouse would go here in this case. And we don't have a lot of room to play with, actually. I think we're all automatically, I think we're in a situation where we have to, we can't have a standard traditional circular player start. So if we give up on that, then yeah, we can do whatever. But you can't wall on these cliffs, which is fun. Palisade Wall. Yeah, you can't wall that. Wall down here, like you could wall in a docking villager, but that's just about it. Player towns would be like here and over here. And I think we're just going to have to, that's going to be the way that it is. Okay. The other thing that we need to bake into this is we need to make it, see how big is our file size, we need to give it some randomness. Maybe there's a situation where this is rotated 45 degrees, so you don't know exactly where you're starting. See how big the file size is. $92 kilobytes? We're fine. We'll be fine. I think I do want to boost the elevation of this, though. So, let's see what we can do for another ridge out here. If that is indeed what we want, which I think would be pretty fun. Another unbuildable ridge, perhaps? I don't really know. I'm hesitant to make too much stuff unbuildable. It's fun for us. It's a nightmare to play. It's so hard because you can't wall anything. Don't know how big of a factor water will have in this either. Could be good to put some little islands out here. You can micro galleys around. Nerf fire ships a bit. Alright. Let's see. I think it's going to be... I think it's going to be non-random, though. Actually, hell, you know, it could be random. It's fine. So let's say, like, upper cliff. The overlook, we're going to bump up to 9. For that lighthouse. And we're going to... What do I want? Probably want one of these, ultimately, in form. Minus 70 to plus 70. We'll do 50 for now, but we're going to need 70 later. And what do we got? We got rock as our Well, you know, we really don't need this to be too thick at all. We'll have no offset here, but we'll have something like, let's do bar right now, 12, something like minus 30. And maybe we could start with rock, but let's try just we'll do rock for now. And we will set this elevation equal to 7. So we should see that stretching across the map. Let's just test it, see where it is. We want to get that part right first. And then, heck, we'll randomize it. It's fine. Upper cliff. Okay. Oh. What do we got here? Oh. Close our function. Parentheses. There we go. Six seconds later, we're all computed. Let's see what we got. Hopefully we didn't ruin everything. Okay, so here it is. See, we've got a big lump. Number one, can't see the curvature on it, so it's obviously not curved enough. It's also a little too thick. I do appreciate that it mates nicely with the terrain layering that we've already done, so that's an advantage. And how did this do in terms of elevation? This is okay still. And it's slightly a little bit better, actually. To make it 9, it's quite tall. Okay, so let us increase the curvature for it. Oh, well, of course there's no curvature. It's 0. How about 0.1? And we'll see where that goes. That ends up. Okay. Okay, there it is. So way too much curvature. It also needs to be a negative number, since we're curving in the wrong direction here. So let's make it a negative number first. And then reduce it by an order of magnitude. We don't need thickness of 1. We'll do thickness 0 for now. Okay, it's all set. Let's generate it. All right. Not really sure why our rock isn't elevating properly, though. It's just a fluke. The presence of this ridge should be seeding it so that the elevation occurs over here, and I'm not sure why it's not doing that. There we go. See, this is what's supposed to happen. Is it a common occurrence? Is it just that one time? Okay. Now, what happens if I change it to a terrain other than rock? Let's say that I made it grass. G. What happens? Let's also offset it by like 5 more. Okay. So if I set it as grass, then it looks like it has the same rocky transition that this has over here. I'm actually okay with that, though. I don't mind that too much. It's a little choppy because I randomized it. I don't know what sort of impact that's having. May consider even flattening it out or thickening it so that it doesn't have this on the other side. Big thing is to give like a cliff feel. Okay. So let us decrease this by half now. And we'll offset it even a little bit more, 37. And you know, we could start throwing more land at this. I think it's the right thing to do at this point. So we will have this thickness be, let's say, 6, and we'll go elevations of we'll have 3 different elevations. We'll have 7, 8, and 9. So it'll be layering these elevations, and hopefully we got this vector right, and we don't need we need 9, 8, and 7 instead of 7, 8, 9. So if it's wrong, we'll just reverse that. What we got? It looks like it's trying to do the right thing. Put the higher elevation up here. Patch of dry grass in the middle. I'm going to offset it a little bit more. And I'll probably we'll see. We'll offset it a little bit more, and this won't appear and confuse us. 40, and how's the curvature for this look? I guess it's all right. We could decrease it a little bit. Almost there. Now let's see. This isn't. I think this is all still buildable. Big problem is that it doesn't really convey the cliff-like feel. You know, it's pretty gradual. Well, let's see what happens with walls. Yeah, you can wall all through there. It's alright with me. I like walls. I like walling, and I like walls. Now, what happens if we generate it on a giant size? Oh, that's fun. Put all that rock up in there. It's an artifact of this being randomized. And that rock is unwallable. That's really fun. Well, yeah, some of it's unwallable. Most of it. Okay, so I think we sort of double down on what we're doing here. And we increase this thickness to maybe 12. We push that offset a little bit more. And we'll run it again. Here we go. So it's positioned properly. The elevation is kind of a... Well, you know, it's random, so there is some nice stuff about it. We can always go in with terrains and clean a lot of this stuff up, too. We can embrace this also. Maybe... I feel a lot of these 9s are getting cut off, though. Could do something like this. See if we can get away with that. You got to be careful doing too high of elevations, though. I'll be right back. Refill my water, but we'll take a quick look at it here. It's done solving, which should be pretty quickly. Yeah, 14 seconds. Yeah, there we go. There we go. There's some mountains for you. You know, I almost want to decrease that thickness again. Decrease it to 6 and offset it even more, maybe 46. Oh, let's leave it 44. No, we have to 46. All right, let's try that. Sorry, I just got to keep, you know, I got to keep messing with it. It's part of who I am. Okay, I'm back. Okay, let's see. Yeah, not really not really the cliff like this is, but could be all right. In order to make it a cliff, we would basically have to have a single thing of a single elevation, which we could do. Let's take a look at Tiny. Don't worry about this grass up here. We could always clean that up. It's not a big deal. It's just there to make this extra transitionary rock. So this transitionary rock doesn't make sense unless this is going to be a cliff. So if this is not going to be a cliff, we need to put down just DLC rock. Be done with it. I think probably have too much action going on. I think we've got too much action going on for this to be a cliff. That would be cool though. So I think we'll put it back how it was. We could still mess with the terrains up here. Like we could blend gravel in and dirt and make it look, give it high elevation effect. Looks, maybe more pine trees. But I think this will be okay for now. Also, our land percent is actually sort of affected by this. You can see the transition is more abrupt here because the numbers we picked for land percent are no longer hold. Now what are we doing? Are we using rock for this too? Let's see. 44. And we'll go to like a thickness of something divisible by 3. 9, I guess. And we will go K. Yeah, it looks like we're picking K for the overlook terrain as well. We try changing that to grass and just see what happens. We don't want grass for our overlook terrain, ultimately. No effect. Hold on a second. What's going on over here? We changed this to... Oh, you know what? I bet it's sensitive to the height limits. I bet that's what the issue is. Although this does look better, actually. But we decided that we are not going to do the cliff look up there. So let's do height limits of 5 to 11. Save it. And there we go. So we can layer this dry grass with more forests. more gravel, make it look a little bit rockier. You guys get the idea. And we have some spaces for elevation in here too. I think we're going to arrange our player lands sort of along this strip, but it's not going to be exactly clear. It's going to be hard to boom on this size. Ugh, you guys and your booming. It's all you guys ever want to talk about. I wouldn't underestimate it. The other thing that we got to decide about is, do we want some islands? I think islands could be good in these bays, but we'll have to see. You could put like some deep water out here, and then really far away, and then put islands in these bays with all sorts of riches on them. Who knows? It'd be a lot of fun, for sure. Seabass likes aggressive play, especially the higher elos that we'll be playing. I appreciate see that, Seabass. But if we do decide that the map is too aggressive, that like you can't boom and put down town centers, we can flatten this out up here. We don't have to pull this up to a higher elevation. I just did it because I like the idea of there being rolling hills on this side. We'll probably have some pretty big, thick wood lines up here. Okay, it looks like we do have our terrain over here for our lighthouse in this version. And the grass is right here. I don't think it matters too much if we do rock or what we do. Let's take a look at it on Tiny. Tiny, you probably can't even see that. Oh, you can. Barely, but you can see the grass there. And most importantly, Giant. Okay, Giant, you can see the grass there as well. So I might be able to move this over slightly. As long as they don't have a hill over their town center. Oh yeah, that's the worst. Yeah, hills by default avoid player starting areas. So we might actually even just get rid of this elevation, because we've already got random elevations up here. But a lot of this elevation is going to be taken up by trees as well. Because it's a water map, right? There's water down here, but there's not a lot of room for trees, so we're going to need lots of trees. Could try pushing this over too. We've got a little bit of margin for that. So let's restore this back to rock. And maybe like push it up 30, 36, 38. Having the forest there will force players to go there as well. That's true. Players will go everywhere. What I'm curious about is like what the docking meta would be for this map. Imagine players starting, you know, somewhere approximately here-ish, here and here, and then they could go down and they could build a dock in their little bay, and their opponent has to go around the lighthouse to get to them. We can give the lighthouse a ton of vision, too, so you always know who's going around that bend. It should be a lot of fun. But we should be careful to make the lighthouse unbuildable if possible. We'll have to see if we can get fancy with those terrains. So you can't build castles and stuff next to the lighthouse. Although already it's going to be kind of limited. Like if I tried to build a castle here, You can't. You could build one on top, but the lighthouse is going to be on top, so it'll be blocking it. I guess you might be able to fit a castle here or here. So that's something to consider. This is rerun. See, we can pull this overlook out a little bit. It's pulled out a bit. Let's generate it again. So elevation failed this time. What's going on with that? I guess we'll just do number of clumps 1. Should only have one DLC rock to elevate. Number of tiles. Actually, I'll have to look into this a little bit more. See if I can make sure that the elevation is more. I'm not going to mess with it right now. I'm almost done with the stream for now. We just wanted to get a basic land setup. Here's on tiny size. Uh-oh. Where's our overlook now? It's not present on that one. I think it's getting swallowed up. Huh. A random line across the map. Their overlook is getting swallowed up somewhere. The overlook is ultimately random. I think we need to make the overlook same every time. It needs to be consistent. And we'll have it be top priority. Alright, yep, that's better. It's a little big, but it's better. So we'll try to shrink that, since it is sort of imposing. So the overlook, let's do 37 to 38. It's thickness of 1 already, so I don't think we can really make it too much smaller besides that. And even this might be pretty small, although it looks like it's calculating, so it can accept 37 to 38. I'll have to look into that to see if there's some way of making the overlook feel a little bit more random, like it was before, but also be tall and imposing and stand over, you know, stand over everything. As it was over here. Let's just try moving it back here with the new numbers. I don't know how many overlook consists of. We could actually look it up over here. It's only 6 lands, so it doesn't have a huge impact. But as you can see, it's a really big deal. I think what could be happening, actually, is these are sort of overpowering this. So what if we removed Overlook from here, and we set it up behind this one? So we actually had, oops, we should have 3 of these processors, if you will. So kind of 3 unique stacks. We could actually do a different amount of randomness too. Let's do randomness 1 for the Overlook. And we'll put Overlook here instead. To give it priority, but also to be random too. Okay. Maybe that'll give us the best of both worlds. Alright, let's see. In theory, this is random. It's just so large and imposing, you know? It doesn't really look like it's narrowed down to a peak. Now, I understand that it's just the high elevation, you know, is pulling everything up within the base size. So maybe that high elevation is the problem. Maybe that's really what it's about. Like if we reduced the elevation of the Overlook to 7, it would probably look more triangular, which is what we want. I'll have to tinker with it a bit off stream. Okay. So as you can see, reducing the elevation reduced the size of this peninsula as well. So I think I'm going to end the stream here. We got the basic structure set up for what we want. There's a little bit of fine-tuning to do with this Overlook, and we have to place the players, and we have to do the forests and the terrains, and of course the objects. But it's been a good setup so far. It's 3 hours, and it sounds like a lot of time, but we've got all the parameters loaded into the computer. It's just a matter of tweaking it. We could even build in additional randomness to this. So we're in a really good spot for the amount of time that was invested. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in and providing your thoughts, your commentary, your feedback, your opinions. And I don't think I'm going to work on this anymore today, but I will be working on it tomorrow. I'm going to work on a bot for the rest of today and maybe play some games with the clan and give someone else the chance to stream. So it should be good. I'm excited, and there's a lot to do, but it's going to be awesome, and we've got a great framework. So thanks, guys, for being here, and we'll end it here, and we'll pick this up tomorrow.